Good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon, Baltimore. Just thought we would hop on here and talk some baseball. How's everybody doing this afternoon? And I suppose I should say happy Valentine's Day to everybody out there. Wanted to get this stream out of the way today, so sorry about that. So, again, what is everybody doing for their day today? Just wanted to hop on here, talk about the Orioles, talk about baseball, talk about these PECOTA win projections, talk about some potential labor issues for baseball. By the way, the social medias are down below my head here. Follow me on all three. Drive, follow. I wanted to let's address the labor issues. I was watching a video. Ken Rosenthal was on Foul Territory. Give them a follow if you're not. And he was talking about he doesn't think the biggest issue facing baseball as far as financial disparity or between the teams is a salary cap as much as it is a salary floor. And he used a comparison that I like. You know, putting a salary cap out there is like telling somebody not to put forth maximum effort. Imagine, I guess the comparison I could use. Imagine if you're playing little league baseball, high school baseball, and you're a pitcher, and you can throw faster than anybody else on any of the other teams in your league. Could you imagine if your coach or manager said, "Don't throw the ball as hard as you can"? No, realistically, no coach, no manager's ever going to do that. So why put forth a rule that tells a team if you had the money, you're not allowed to spend it? On the flip side, there are plenty of teams that don't spend the money that they're even given through the revenue sharing on their major league roster. So I'd be willing to bet you, even if you just put forth a salary floor and made those teams that don't spend any money. Spend money that would alleviate, or that could help alleviate a lot of the issues that you're having. Let me know your thoughts. Do you think that a salary floor would benefit as much, if not more, than a salary cap? Let me know your thoughts or thoughts in the comments below after the stream, or if you happen to pop in here during. But I think Major League Baseball would be foolish at this point right now, coming off of a good 2025 season, an excellent World Series, to stub your toe, for lack of a better word, in trying to force a salary cap through because you don't want to cost yourself any of the 2027 season. But it would Unfortunately, it would not surprise me if Major League Baseball ended up costing themselves some of the 2025 season with the because I fear that we're headed for a 1994 situation. And I hope to God that I'm wrong. But I guess time will tell. Now, on to the PECOTA projections. Apparently, the PECOTA projections, and I look at these things every year, and I'm never sure how seriously to take them. But apparently, the PECOTA projections seem to think the American League is going to be very, very tightly contested, to say the least. Because as you can see, if you just look at the American League, we'll start with the American League. They only have one team projected for 90 wins or more. Oops, wrong one. That was the wrong button. Sorry about that. Here we go with the PECOTA projections. As you see, they have Toronto and New York projected 1 and 2 in the American League East with 88 wins. I said it on my last stream. I'll say it here. I think Toronto is I think New York is a fourth place ball club in the American League East. If I had to give my predictions for the order in the American League East, I'd say Toronto, followed very closely by Baltimore, Boston, New York, and Tampa Bay. But if you notice, PECOTA has basically every team in the American League East at basically 500 or better. What's up, Pigtown? Just going over some of the PECOTA projections. I was just saying how there's only one 90-win team projected in the American League, which that's a lot of parity in the American League. I said it in my last stream. I think New York is a fourth place ball club in this division. I'm not sure if you just heard. I think it's going to be Toronto, Baltimore, Boston, New York, Tampa Bay. Do I think that every team in the American League East is going to be above or at 500? I mean, the division is going to be tough, but I don't know if every team's going to be at or above 500. Then you go to the American League Central. Kansas City winning the division with 84 wins would. I know the AL Central is usually not as strong as the East or the West. I agree with you, Big Town. I can agree with you completely. 84 wins a division to win a division And mind you, one of my favorite streamers, good buddy of yours. I know you said you've talked to him. Um, our old buddy Jimbo that hops on and breaks down every signing, every trade. It seems like happens around Major League Baseball. Um, pointed out that these PECOTA projections came out after the Framber Valdez signing. Um, I can't believe a team with Google and Valdez are only projected for 83 wins. Now, he actually said something on his stream recently when I was watching his stream and got introduced. I didn't even know the PECOTA projections were out. He said he could see Minnesota finishing last in the division, Chicago taking that step up to the fourth place team with, and I think everybody always sells Cleveland short. Cleveland always seems to do better than any projections have them being. Now, let me turn my camera off or take me off the screen so that we can see the American League West. The American League West. Seattle is the clear-cut favorite of that division. I don't think that's disputable with their pitching staff. I would agree that they're going to win the division. I think Texas finishes second with Houston third. I can't get used to seeing the word Sacramento, not Oakland, even though the Athletics aren't even calling themselves the Sacramento A's. But the Sacramento A's, for at least the next couple of years, fourth, I could agree with that. And the Angels bringing up the rear. Speaking of the Angels, can we talk about the fact that Mike Trout is going to become the Charles Barkley of Major League Baseball? A truly wasted career. I guess the only difference between Mike Trout and Charles Barkley is at least Charles Barkley made it to one finals and was beaten by Michael Jordan. I think Mike Trout, as of right now, only has one playoff series to his name. Now, I'm a baseball fan. I'm a sports fan. I'm smart enough to realize that one player does not make a team. But the Angels at one time had arguably the two best players in baseball on their roster. And if Ohtani had stayed there, they'd have wasted the career of Ohtani just like they're wasting the career of Mike Trout. Let's be honest. Coming back up, they have the Braves at 90 wins. I wonder if that was before. I wonder if these projections were before or after the Spencer Schwellenbach injury, because losing him to the 60-day DL not going to help their chances, which, let's be honest, Orioles losing Jackson Holiday could affect their win total a little bit, but we'll circle back to that because I do want to talk a little bit about Jackson Holiday and expectations. And New York making one of the biggest jumps are Freddie Peralta and Bregman went to the Mets. Did he not? No, that was Bichette went to the Mets. Are Bichette and Peralta really going to make that much of a difference? Time will tell. Because let's face it, the Mets may have gotten Bichette, the Mets may have gotten Peralta and a few other things, but they did lose Pete Alonso. And I don't know if Bichette can make up for that production. The Phillies, they always seem to be competitive. Even when you want to cut them out, and then you basically got the two bottom feeders, the Washington Nationals and the Miami Marlins. Miami Marlins are a classic case of what I was talking about earlier, forcing teams to spend on their major league roster. And Pigtown, I don't know if you're still in here. When was the last time? Can you think of off the top of your head? When was the last time the Marlins invested in a significant free agent? I know they did it in '97, way back. They had to have done it a little bit in, what was it, 2003, the last time they won the World Series. But other than '97, 2003, what was the last big name free agent that they invested significant money in? They traded away Yelich. They traded away Osuna. I don't care what anybody says. Derek Jeter went to Miami just to help facilitate Giancarlo Stanton to the Yankees. Nobody will ever convince me otherwise. And then the Washington Nationals are going through a rebuild. But frankly, if you told me as an Orioles fan who the last time the Orioles won a World Series, I was a year old. I unfortunately I was a year old. About a year and a half old actually. So I don't even remember any of that. 1983. If you told me that the Orioles would have to go through another rebuild, but in the course before they went through the next rebuild, they won a World Series, I would take that. And I'm sure any Oriole fan here in Baltimore probably would take that as well. Shifting gears now to the Central, where this is where Alex Bregman landed, Chicago Cubs. This is going to surprise some people. I am going to pick the Pittsburgh Pirates to win this division. I like what the Cubs did in the offseason, but I love the Pirates' young pitching. I like the fact that they went out and made some moves. They weren't earth-shattering moves, but they made moves to try to improve this ball club. And as long as his arm is healthy, you can make an argument that Paul Skeens is already the best pitcher in baseball. At the very least, the best pitcher in the National League. So I'm going on a limb and saying the Pirates are going to make the leap. I'm not saying they're going to win 90, but I could very easily see this division being a two-team race between the Cubs and the Pirates. I can't believe. Look, there's been very few years in my lifetime where the Cardinals have been as down and out as they are right now. All I know is this rebuild for them better not last long, because I don't see a passionate fan base like St. Louis putting up with losing in the long term. Cincinnati, if those projections are anywhere near right, 78 wins, fourth in the division, I could see Nick Lodolo, Hunter Green getting traded to a team competing for a playoff spot. Because Cincinnati's not a team that's going to pay big money. I'm pretty sure Lodolo and Green are both entering their arbitration years. But yeah, I could very easily see, but I could see Cincinnati jumping up to third. I could see Milwaukee falling all the way back to fourth in that division. But then again, Milwaukee always seems to find a way. And then the Dodgers, the only team in Major League Baseball projected for 100 wins. They're going to run away with this division. Let's be honest. I don't know that the rest of the division is going to be as bad as PECOTA has them projected. Considering I just now noticing that the Dodgers are the only team in their division projected to finish above 500. If that is the case, let's pretend for a moment that PECOTA is at least somewhat correct. The Dodgers could have the division locked up by the middle of August. They are the only team that PECOTA says 100% shot they make the playoffs. And let's face it, if the Dodgers didn't make the playoffs with their roster, something is wrong. With San Diego, San Francisco, Arizona, and Colorado. Thank God the Orioles are no longer in the class with the Colorado Rockies. We went through enough years in recent times, and I've been through enough years with the Orioles in my lifetime where you know there's no hope. I remember as a 6-year-old kid asking my father if the Orioles were ever going to win a ball game when they started the season 0-21. Terrible to know that before your birthday or right around your birthday that your season is basically over. And anybody curious, my birthday is April 23rd. So, yeah. Let's see. But the question I wanted to raise about Jackson Holiday, we all know he's injured. We all know he's going to miss opening day. I've heard anywhere from 1 month to 3 months. So I'm thinking late May, early June. But then I've heard people talking about how is this going to affect him even after he's back on the field? Can we expect his power numbers to be down? Can we expect his RBI projection to be down? Can we, I don't know. I'm not a medical professional. I know I know from personal experience that the younger you are, the easier and the quicker you can recover from surgery. Jackson is certainly a young, still a young man early in his career. So hopefully he's able to bounce back effectively. But, will this injury affect his long-term prognosis for the season? Who knows? By the way, went and got a nice fresh haircut. Oh. Well, on to the other big story of the week, the Orioles signing of young, well, not so young, but Chris Bassitt. I've seen opinions split on the Chris Bassitt signing. I've seen some people saying they like the signing, some people saying they don't like the signing, some people complaining that a guy like Chris Bassitt was not what Mike Elias promised, and they're right about that. Mike Elias framed it as he was going to go get one of the big fish. I'm of the opinion, I know my buddy Pigtown, who's in here, is of the opinion that they put all their eggs into Ranger Suarez. While I don't disagree with that opinion, my opinion differs slightly. I honestly believe their eggs were all in the basket of Dylan Cease. When he signed as early as he did, they shifted gears and put all their that's when they put all their eggs in the Ranger Suarez basket. And I think they were very surprised that Suarez is not wearing an Orioles uniform. I think they were very surprised to see that Bassitt went to Boston. And they didn't handle the pivot very well. Let's face it. But I like Chris Bassitt. I see a question in the chat. Does Chris Bassitt replace Zach Eflin or Dean Kramer in the rotation? If I had to guess, you're asking me what I think the rotation is. I think, with all due respect to Kyle Bradish, I would give the ball on opening day to Trevor Rogers. I think the way he pitched in the second half of the year, he deserves it. I would follow it up with number 2, Kyle Bradish. This is going to be a little bit of a controversial opinion. I would put Chris Bassitt number 3. I'd put Shane Baz at 4 to take some of the pressure off the young man. My number 5, if he's healthy and ready to go, is Zach Eflin. I want the veteran presence. I want the guy that's been there. I want the guy that has pitched well in his career in all months of the season. I love Dean Kramer. I'm a Dean Kramer guy. I have questions of whether or not Dean Kramer is on this roster on opening day. I could very easily see a guy like Dean Kramer getting packaged with a Kobe Mayo with a Heston Kjerstad, with any number of other prospects to bring in another starter or bring in a bullpen piece or two, something along those lines. I could also see a scenario where Dean Kramer or Zach Eflin are your long man. I could see a scenario where the Orioles do a 6-man rotation, although I believe when I was watching Pigtown stream the other night, he said the Orioles have between the very end of March when the season starts and the month of April, they have 4 or 5 off days built in. So there's not really a need for a 5th starter, let alone a 6th. So I don't know how practical a 6-man rotation would be at that point in the year, but my personal preference, if both are healthy, would probably be Zach Eflin over Kramer, only because Kramer seems to forget that the baseball season starts in April. But I was watching the Bird Nest podcast on Masson earlier, and they were pointing out that I believe they said since 2022, Dean Kramer has an ERA just under 4. So that being said, I haven't looked that deep into his numbers, and I'm a Dean Kramer guy. Don't get me wrong. I don't understand if that's truly his ERA. Yes, he doesn't do anything flashy. Yes, he doesn't do anything great. But the guy's given you 28 to 30 starts each of the last several years with an ERA under 4. What more can you ask for from a starter in Major League Baseball these days? Not much, if you ask me. You can't ask for more than that. Let's see. Just trying to pull up some numbers on Kramer here. Here we are, Dean Kramer. 2025, 29 games started. 2024, 24, 32, 21. Look, 172 innings, 129 innings, 171 innings. Where's the... I don't know how they figure that he has a ERA since of just under 4, considering now he pitched really well last year. He was under 4 last year. Maybe I misunderstood what they said. A 3.88 ERA today in today's baseball, people, is a good ERA. So what more do you... And he had a 2.6 WAR last year. So I think people always sell Dean Kramer short. This is a guy that has a bulldog mentality that says, give me the ball. Think back to the playoff game he pitched, with everything going on in the world, with everything going on and worrying about his family. And I'm not going to get into the whole thing. You know what I'm talking about. That guy still took the ball and pitched. And there's got to be something said about that. This rotation, yes, it doesn't have the sexy name at the top of it, but Did we have the sexy name at the top when we won 101 games? No. Did we have the sexy name at the top a few years back with Chris Tillman? No. In the Buck Showalter years, we still made the playoffs. I honestly believe that a bona fide quote unquote ace is somewhat underrated. And if you think back to not last year, obviously we didn't make the playoffs last year, but in 2024, our problem wasn't the pitching. Our problem was we couldn't score. I don't care how good your pitching is. If you're not scoring runs, you're not winning games. The pitching kept us in games. This pitching staff can keep us in games. The offense has to be able to support that pitching staff with scoring some runs. Otherwise, it ain't going to matter how good the pitching staff does. Anyway, let me know your thoughts, your comments on the Orioles, season projections in the comments below. I do have to get ready to hop off here. I do have some plans for my evening. Hope to see you all next time. We are on the road to 1,500 subscribers. So if you're not subscribed, please consider subscribing. You'll be getting plenty of Orioles baseball content in general. Once MLB The Show comes out, we'll be rocking and reeling with what I believe to be a great Orioles franchise and MLB The Show. See y'all down the line. Thank you for being here. See you next time.